Disney Plus is here after months of hype.
Well, maybe for some of us.
We're diving into the app service problems and everything else today. Stick around for your daily charge. Welcome to the Daily Charge. It's Tuesday, November 12th. I'm Joni Salzman.
I'm Mike Sorrentino.
And today's top story is Disney Plus.
Disney Plus is here.
Disney Plus launched early this morning, and I don't know about you, but I definitely got a ton of sleep. It's not like I woke up at 2:30 and never went back to bed or anything like that. Disney Plus has been years in the making. Disney reoriented its entire company around it, and it finally landed today. Disney Plus launched early Tuesday morning. Now that we can actually get in there, play with it, see exactly what the catalog feels like and has, what do you think?
John, I feel so for you, like getting up at 2:30 in the morning.
I didn't set a timer or anything. I happened to wake up and I was like, oh, it might be live now. It was supposed to come a little early, and it was, and then that was it.
I got up around 4:30 just because I really needed my Mandalorian fix before work.
I know you did, yeah.
So it's just such a... It's a climax. I've been reading about. I remember for months and months of it just being known as Disney streaming service, and then we found out Disney Plus, and now that it's launched, it's technically interesting, but it's the first day, so there's lots and lots of jitters. I've been seeing people complain about like how The Simpsons is only in widescreen and not 4:3. How some of the shows themselves aren't loading. It took me about 5 minutes to get to the screen where I could hit play on Lizzie McGuire for a throwback. But at the same time, some of the new stuff like High School Musical, the series, the long title, that launched in half a second, which is technically fantastic because it is in 4K.
Yeah.
Mandalorian, when I first put that on at 4:30 in the morning, also booted up crazy quickly.
Yeah.
But then when I tried again to finish the episode around 8:30 from this office, it choked on. We have really fast internet connections here, and so it was a little bit weird to be like sitting there waiting. Yeah. But I've also played with the Android app version and had downloaded some of the episodes to my phone, and that has been working okay. Like a couple crashes, but nothing more than I wouldn't expect on a day one sort of scenario.
Yeah.
But then it's also like most of the content is the library, and it's going to be more of a future forward waiting thing till we get more and more new content. I was watching Marvel's Expanding the Universe show, and a lot of it is not till Falcon and the Winter Soldier begins in fall 2020, and then WandaVision 2021. And by the end of that, I did pre-buy 3 years of Disney Plus for full disclosure. By then, the 3 years will have been up, and then okay, will I want to continue this service on a monthly or yearly basis or not? But that'll be a 3 year from now question.
Right. So Mike's been talking a lot about all the complaints that we've been seeing across the board about outages. I didn't have any problems logging in and using it this morning. You didn't when you first tried.
At 4:30 in the morning.
At 4:30 in the morning. But the problem is, as the rest of Canada and the U.S. are waking up, we've seen these complaints of service failures rolling in. And so far, it seemed like there have been problems with people trying to log in initially. There have been problems with things dropping out of the catalog, not being able to stream something. I had trouble, I wanted to create a profile for my kids and I wanted to change the avatar because your default avatar is Mickey Mouse, and I'm not a Mickey girl. So I wanted to change my avatar. I couldn't get into my profile to change settings. So what we're seeing is a lot of demand, and that's what Disney said. Disney has said that they said, we appreciate your patience. This is higher than we even expected demand. So what do you think what is drawing people to this product? Why is it getting slammed by all this demand?
I think it's just because it's been a very long time of promoting it. Even from the minute that Disney announced their intention to slowly roll off Netflix, that created a feeling of where will I go to make my kids watch all these Disney cartoons? Where is Rogue One going to be? Because they've all been slowly rolling off, and now they're on Disney Plus, like Rogue One, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, were Netflix first, and now they're on Disney Plus. To be expected that all the movies currently there will eventually roll off. So I feel like it's sort of a supply and demand scenario where people are noticing and reacting perhaps a little vehemently that they used to get everything under one bill under Netflix, and now going into now and going into 2020 when HBO Max and so on launches, every content company is going to be separating it out, and people are going to start feeling the sticker shock.
Yeah.
So on one end, but on the flip side of that, people have excitement about Disney because Disney owns so many brands, and now that Fox is underneath their giant umbrella, it doubled that empire.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're going to separate out, this might be a compelling option. However, people are also scared a bit too. It's like, I'm excited for it, but would I get rid of Netflix to go to Disney?
Right.
Am I waiting for it?
And I think that's why they priced it what it is at $7 a month. That's really cheap.
It's cheap in the current market.
Yeah.
But for many families, it might be a mental block of only one service, and you can only have one. And
yeah, maybe. Well, and then I think that it's also interesting that they kind of took a little bit out of Apple's playbook. Apple, which launched Apple TV Plus, and said, hey, if you've bought a device, you can have Apple TV Plus for free for a year. Disney did a similar thing. They struck a deal with Verizon. So anybody that's a Verizon Unlimited customer gets a year. And I'm guessing that...
I'm scrounging it because that's like $80 a month per line, potentially. So it's like, yes, if you're doing that and you're paying that, then great.
Right, right.
But it's like a freebie, or like it's not exactly like a generous freebie, but it is a deal. It is something that's included, and it's not unheard of. Like Sprint has free Hulu,
Netflix on T-Mobile. Yeah. So it's not unheard of. It definitely helps Disney to find an easy pool of people that don't have to get over a hurdle. They just have to, the hurdle is you have to get in touch with Verizon either online or call them and say, hey, add this to my service, please.
And then after that first year, then it's sort of presumably hope that you'll then either buy directly through Disney, or maybe sometimes the carriers will be the middleman toward charging for this. So maybe Verizon hopes to be like that middle person on the way.
We'll see. Okay, so let's pause here and ask the question, who out there has already downloaded Disney Plus? What has your experience been? We'd like to get a broad petri dish of those on Android versus iOS versus Roku or Android or Apple TV, whatever you use. So please sound off with any bugs you found. BVG, what are people already saying they're experiencing?
So we actually farmed this out to YouTube earlier this morning. So take all these comments with a grain of salt. This is from roughly an hour ago. Jose says, still down. Benjamin says, already downloaded the app and watched so many movies and some TV, loving it so far. Melissa says, homepage not working and a few other things. App still needs plenty of work. Vic says, down right now for me too. I checked with other people online and it's down with them. I've got 20 gigabytes of content downloaded before going to sleep at around midnight PST, and the downloads were super slow. So
that was smart.
Yeah, right?
The guy that downloaded, or the woman or man that downloaded, you were...
That's been a cool part of it. Everything on there is downloadable.
Everything's downloadable, and there's no limit on downloads. They don't expire.
Hold up. I don't know if that's 100% true, because as I was flipping through, I was pleasantly surprised seeing how many were downloadable, but I definitely notably remember a couple not having the download option.
Oh, do you remember? Do you have any idea what titles they were?
I feel like it happened when I was browsing in... I want to say the Pixar collection or maybe the Disney proper collection.
I'm going to do a little test right now. Because that's definitely something that I would chalk that up more to being a bug than a licensing issue. Like that's it either falls in either of the two camps. It's a licensing problem or a bug. And my guess right now, because Disney has been very clear, you can download everything. There are no limits. That's probably a bug at launch. But I'm gonna look right now to see if I can get that too.
Yeah, I'm still using Android myself, and as you saw earlier before the show, Joan, as we were starting to investigate the app for the sake of B-roll, mine wasn't working either. But like I said, I was up at around 2:30 this morning anyways.
Yeah.
So that's when I downloaded the app, just started queuing stuff, but I didn't cache anything. I didn't download anything. But for what it was worth, browsing was super easy. I like how they break everything out in the franchise. It's easy to find stuff. The thumbnails are, even if they're not the original, like, movie covers or anything like that, they've been modified so that they're big, bold, and easy to read. I thought that was kind of smart. So my very frivolous surface level experience with the app so far has been good. Some more comments from the audience. Michael Brown says, my Disney Plus experience has been good so far. I haven't ran into hiccups in my Pixel 4, on my Pixel 4. That was just recently. Ryan says, I've gotten some error issues, but I wasn't expecting it to work perfectly, knowing so many would be on it today. I think that's the grand takeaway. Anytime something like this makes a splash, you wind up with some crashes. I think that's just kind of an acceptable fate at this point.
Yeah, like I restarted my phone when honestly I wanted to walk to work listening to Frozen, and so I had downloaded the video earlier, and then when I got out of the subway, it just wasn't loading. So
Really?
I did a full like phone reboot, and then it started going. It was in an area of the city in which I just didn't have signal anyway.
Yeah.
So like it took a little while for the Disney screen to be like, you're not online, you can't access. But the verbiage was a little more forbidding at first. It was like, you can't go here, check again later. But then I went to the downloads tab and the videos were there. So like, fine, hit play, walk.
Right.
So it was just kind of like generally tweaking on top of some like actual legitimate service problems, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, it's day one. There's so many things. I mean, it's BAMTech is the name of the company, right?
It was. It's now called Disney Streaming Services, but BAMTech was the technology company that Disney acquired in order to get, a technology stack for streaming video.
Yeah, because their history was doing like Major League Baseball streaming and
Live
other
streaming.
sports.
Yeah.
And even though this is not their first streaming service, it's of a magnitude that it like is going to test their bandwidth no matter how skilled they are.
Yeah, fun fact, BAMTech / Disney Streaming Services is actually, I don't know if it's still the case now, but they are the streaming service provider for HBO Now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're the ones that deliver those streams. So if you've ever had problems with HBO Now, you can blame Disney for those problems too. But you're right. I mean, it's different. The kind of demand that you get for a service rolling out at launch, an on-demand service rolling out at launch, is different even than, BAMTech made a name for itself for being able to live stream like every single Major League Baseball game in really good definition without a lot of latency and not a lot of lag. But it's just a different beast, this kind of streaming. Yeah.
I was impressed by the app rollout because a lot of the services that have launched, I remember when DC Universe launched at first, it took a while till it made it to like Xbox. It was on Roku on day one. Apple had spread us further than Apple's ever did with Apple TV Plus, but I have an LG TV at home, and so it wasn't on that platform, but it was on Roku. Disney appears to have made that app work on a little bit of everything. There's still more platforms to go still, but
I would say, are there any actual glaring omissions in their lineup for hardware? It looked pretty robust to me too.
For hardware support, I mean, they hit all the big ones. They've got Apple, both Apple TV and iOS. They've got Android, both for mobile and then Android TVs. They got Samsung smart TVs, LG smart TVs. They've got Roku. They've got Amazon Fire and Chromecast because of Android.
Yeah, I think it might be game consoles, but I need to double
check.
check.
Yeah, they do have PlayStation, and they have PlayStation. What's the newest one?
And
PlayStation 4.
They have Xbox. Yeah, they have
they
have PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Is
but
that the
no
one that's
Nintendo
newest?
Switch either.
I don't know. Whichever ones are the newest of the PlayStation and Xbox. They have both of those.
PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are there, but no Nintendo.
No, that's your glaring omission.
For now.
I mean, there aren't
Hulu's
a lot
on
of
Nintendo
there's
Switch,
not
so
a lot
later.
of video streaming apps on Nintendo Switch. It's basically just Hulu and YouTube and some homebrew stuff.
And Hulu is owned by Disney, so if Hulu could get it done, then presumably it's something within the realm of possibility for Disney to do.
Yeah, but that's Nintendo being picky. That's not on Disney.
We think.
Yeah.
We don't
Maybe.
know.
I don't know.
All right, let's take a few more comments. A lot of the same kind of still flying in. Let's see, Ryan Williams says, Happy Disney Plus Day. I had problems watching Endgame and Mandalorian. I also couldn't change my profile picture or add a new profile. That bug I didn't see yet because I did make a profile for me and my girlfriend
initially made a
because she
profile
has terrible taste in all things. So I wanted to make sure she didn't ruin my recommendation algorithm. Otherwise, Christian says, still having trouble with the app. Every time I tap on a show or a movie, it doesn't load. Michael Polera is still seeing a lot of bugs, too. Let's talk to Michael Brown again. Already calling it, Disney Plus is better than Apple TV Plus. It's early, but I don't think Apple TV has what it takes to beat Disney and HBO Max. They'll have to make a massive acquisition, probably try to buy Netflix. Do we think that's even on the table?
It's a tough thing. Every single one of these services has upfront said this is a multi-year game.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of hard to be... You can put it against each other now because you're the one buying it now. But like I remember HBO's announcement was like year one, Netflix style, no ads. Year two, with ads. Mm-hmm. Disney has been like, here are the shows all the way through 2022. So they're clearly thinking multi-year. Mm-hmm. It's such a long game.
Yeah, and I don't think Apple's ever going to buy Netflix. It's something that comes up recurringly. People say, "What if Apple bought Netflix?" And there are Bob Iger, the CEO of Apple, the CEO of Disney. He stoked some of that more recently because he had a memoir come out and it said, I talked to Steve Jobs and I think if he had lived, then maybe Apple would have bought Disney. But I don't think Apple has more money than God, but they're building their own thing and doing it their own way, and it's a lot cheaper than buying. Netflix market cap is gigantic. It's tens of billions of dollar, like $20 billion market cap, something like that. It's
what
crazy.
I find fascinating about the streaming wars is that if you look at each one, it's not just the streaming. Everyone has their own sort of other business need with it. Like Apple is making such a concerted effort to include if you bought an iPhone or iPad this year that you get a year of it. So it's to boost the hardware sales effort of it. For Disney, it's to sort of get you into their world, which includes the Hulu ESPN bundle. They kind of hope that you get like into that and maybe not think of anywhere else. The Warner strategy is like their app is going to include podcasts in addition to shows, and so that's just a different way to go.
Yeah, I don't know if that. I think that
The HBO app, not the Warner app. Sorry.
Yeah. I think honestly, all of these services initially they're trying to become robust services in and of themselves. I don't really buy that Apple wants to use Apple TV Plus as a way to get people to make a purchase decision for like an every 2-year $1,000 purchase. I don't think that that's really part of the game. I think it might be an added perk to it. But I think what they all are trying to do are figure out a way. They know that TV is going to be something that you have to be playing in order to not be completely run over, especially if you're already in programming, because if you're already like AT&T and Time Warner, they're already programmers. So if they just keep taking money from Netflix and licensing their shows to Netflix, all they're doing is making Netflix stronger, and eventually they won't have a leg to stand on.
Here's an interesting discussion happening in the chat right now, shouting out to Storm King and Caleb Richardson, who both write in tandem with each other, asking if we think that Apple might buy Sony or Columbia. It's funny that happened right on top of each other, and props to Caleb for calling out the jinx. So, sorry, Storm King, that Coke better be in the mail. What do we think about that one? Sony? I mean, I know Sony's had some major missteps, but are they anywhere close to, like, sinking?
No, I mean, like, Paramount has troubles. I mean, everybody that's in legacy media is sort of like eyeing the exit and being like, what's gonna happen? Because streaming is taking over a lot of regular consumers' ways to watch. But that being said, Apple's not gonna buy them. They're not. I mean, they're not gonna buy Netflix. Apple's not gonna buy Sony. It doesn't need to, because what you do, unless it's a fire sale because one of these companies is completely going out of business, but I don't think it's not in Apple's brand even to buy something that's like on fire sale, you know?
In the tech industry, people just love to talk about mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah.
And just like, what if this, what if that? It's like,
and also because Apple has more money than God. So they can buy entire countries, I guess, if like they wanted to, but.
Appletonia?
But I don't think that it's just not what they do. They bought Beats, and that was a $2 billion acquisition, and I think I don't think that's going to happen for a movie studio or a television studio or anything like that.
There is something said though about like there's so many services coming that it's unlikely for every single one of the services you might hear about in the next year to succeed. It wouldn't be shocking if one or two like consolidate in the future if they don't succeed. There have been plenty of smaller services that I've seen go up and down just because they think there's an audience. Oh wait, there isn't an audience. But then sometimes they also price themselves. Like there's like lots of smaller niche services. One in particular, I remember, I forget the hub it's on, but it was a service just for older Nickelodeon shows, and I think they charge $5-ish a month.
Is that like Noggin?
I don't know. Noggin might be in use for like preschool content.
Yeah, that's like preschool kids stuff from Nickelodeon.
I think it's like Nick Splat.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
I would need to be double checked. Feel free to check me in the chat on where I'm trying to remember this. But there's also the anime services. Like there's so many sub services that like not everyone's going to succeed because there's only so much money and people to go around.
Right. Yeah. But I think that it's those are different games. The niche services versus these really big ones that have tentpole franchises. The Apple TV Pluses, the Disney Pluses, the HBO Maxes. They're betting the farm. All these companies are betting the farm on it. So if it fails, it's going to be, it'll be a spectacular failure, and it's hard to really understand because it's kind of like making them too big to fail. Like when you make something, if you put that much money into it, and except for like serious misman, I don't even know what could make that fail. Other than the only one that I could think that would fail is maybe Apple's just like 5 years down the road, kind of like, oh, never mind, forget about it.
Yeah, but they would just eat that cost. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
like, oh, suddenly Apple's in desperate trouble. It's like, well, that was an experiment.
Yeah. But the other, like Disney and HBO / Time Warner, they're / AT&T, they bet too much on it to fail.
Yeah. And so far with American streaming services anyway, like the two were big for this one with Disney and Apple. Up next would be HBO and NBC Universal's Peacock. Is there any other ones that I'm forgetting?
Those are the major ones, the ones
Yeah.
that are backed by major either tech or media companies. Yeah. And then the smaller services, whether they live or die, has a lot to do with the loyalty of the genre that they're appealing to. Not all fans are created equal. And so niche services for one kind of genre can really flourish, whereas another might not. Has to do with that, and also has to do with just dynamics of if you have a good app, if you market yourself well, if you get bought by somebody who knows what they're doing, or if you get bought by somebody that's stupid. There's a lot of pieces in play about whether or not those will succeed or fail.
All this conversation has started making me think of some of the alternative streaming services that are out there. I myself have kind of fallen back into Crackle because they house some of my favorite shows like News Radio. Also, Tubi is one I've kind of recently gotten hooked on. I.e. the Alphabet City guy, he also does the show called Top 5, and he did a countdown of these 5 ad-supported, non-subscription-based, free content streaming tiers out there, and Tubi is on there, Crackle's on there, and several others. I'll make sure to add a link to that in the deck for anybody curious, because we are going to start experiencing some price tag fatigue with all these services. Mike, you said you tried Tubi?
Yeah, there's a few different movies on Tubi, and to be really honest, some of the Bachelor franchise things are on Tubi. But I've also, in more tasteful things, watched La La Land on IMDb TV, which is baked into Prime Video. Canopy, which is an Ayaz's Video, I watch a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of the higher end films that happen to be in Prime Video also are in Canopy, but are free as long as you set up an account through your local library in America.
Right.
And
not all these services are kind of cut of the same cloth. So Tubi and Pluto, also the Roku channel, those are services where they're ad supported and totally free. So you can watch, none of them are making originals, and none of them really have exclusives, in so much as if they license something and nobody else has it, then it's kind of de facto an exclusive. But they're kind of built on this sort of lean back, you don't really want to have to think about it, and you don't want to have to pay for it, but it's an easy way to get a movie or a show from one of those. Versus, what were some of the other ones that Canopy, that is it's an ad-free service that you get free with a library card. And then Prime, of course, that's part of Amazon, which is this weird, it's like Netflix except, and you can subscribe to it on its own, but most people just get it lumped in as part of their Prime membership.
I think it's also important to create a bit of I think people would be forced to create, like I said earlier, a bit of a regimen as to when they want to keep and cancel stuff. For instance, I quit Netflix over the summer. Things were fine. I just doubled down on my library and other things.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn on Prime Video in December so my family can watch the Ms. Maisel show.
Yeah.
But then I'm turning that off because I don't want to buy stuff. If whenever I have a Prime subscription, I buy too much stuff. So I can't. It's a very touch and go for me.
That's a good point.
But that's the difference about these streaming services versus, how things have been done since the dawn of time with TV, is that you can shut them off really easily. And some people wonder if that means that people are just gonna if en masse the behavior is going to be like your behavior, where you turn it on for a few months or just 1 month or just 1 week to get a certain thing, and then you pick and choose what you want and turn them off after. I'm of the opinion that I don't know if most people are that proactive about it.
Most people aren't.
I don't think most people are. I think most people will just decide what they like and then keep what they have.
The longest behavior I think we've had is with HBO turning that on and off when people would turn it on for The Sopranos.
Yeah.
That's been for that sort of behavior, and maybe that might have been more recently with Game of Thrones. I turn it on for Westworld and turn it back off again personally.
Yeah.
But beyond that, when it comes to the services, people generally would prefer to just have what they have, let it go.
Yeah.
And I get that because it can be a little exhausting, but it's also consumer culture.
That on-off formula, that's the writing's on the wall, though, man. As things start drifting back towards a week-to-week model, The more things change, the more they stay the same. They're going to start encouraging you to stay on instead of the binge formula, which lets you get away with the on-off. I mean, like I said, the writing's on the wall. Shannon asks, I'm just glad you brought up Amazon Prime. Shannon says they're a little confused. Isn't Apple TV more like Amazon Prime Video? Shannon, if you could kind of clarify what you were asking there, but if I was to take a guess at this, I think it's because, like what you said with Amazon, it's more of like you're grandfathered in as a bonus service to existing in that ecosystem anyways. What's your takeaway, Joan?
Yeah, well, they're similar in the sense that I think, especially right now, as Apple TV has just launched, and most people that are getting it, I feel like definitely the majority of the people that have Apple TV right now are using it only because it's like a free like gimme that you get because you've already bought, like you bought a new iPhone or you bought something since the beginning of September from Apple. So in that way, it's similar to Amazon Prime Video because Amazon never says, but most people assume that the majority of people that watch Amazon Prime Video are doing it the same way. They have Prime and therefore they just have it as a gimme also. So it's similar in that sense. Also similar in the sense that Apple TV Plus and Amazon Prime Video, they don't have nearly, at this point, they don't have nearly the output of originals that Netflix does. Nobody really matches Netflix in the amount that they create this fire hose of original programming. But the way they differ is that Apple TV doesn't have a library. Amazon Prime Video has a huge library, kind of the sort of library that people criticize Netflix for in the early days, where it's kind of like, what is this stuff? But yeah, Apple TV Plus doesn't have any of that.
And both of those apps are also like the video on demand store combined with a subscription service.
Exactly.
Which might be where that similarity also comes into play, where you can buy and keep stuff, rent stuff, or pay for the subscription for stuff.
Exactly.
All right, we are running real low on time. I just wanted to give a quick shout out. If you haven't realized yet, with that Tubi app, and that's TUBI for anybody curious. That thing is a gold mine for like lost Saturday morning cartoons from like CBS and ABC. Bump in the Night, Tales from the Crypt Keeper, Sonic the Hedgehog, all that classic stuff when you grew up in the 90s, like you woke up with your bowl of Fruity Pebbles, that kind of stuff. That is what Tubi is there for. All right. Brian M. says, missed opportunity. It would have been awesome if when you logged into Disney Plus for the first time, you got the Lion King intro. Big missed opportunity. Otherwise, I think the app is still pretty clean and organized pretty well, outside of the notable bugs.
It's there in 4K. Just pick it.
Yeah, it's very true. Timothy says, I'm just curious, if you're a huge fan of Marvel Disney, wouldn't you have already bought all the Blu-ray videos? What is the point of trying to subscribe for streaming?
Well, I think it's definitely true that there are Marvel superfans out there that have already bought DVDs for every single. I mean, and Disney breeds that kind of fan, not just in Marvel, but of course there's people that already have every Star Wars movie on DVD. Of course there's people that have every Disney princess movie on DVD. Disney cultivates that kind of like super fan. But I don't think that's the majority of people. You don't get a global blockbuster that breaks box office records like Endgame did by only having superfans. It's by reaching the most mass market that's ever been reached by a movie in a theater. And so that means there's tons of people out there that don't have every single Marvel movie, maybe don't even have one Marvel movie, maybe only saw them in theater or didn't see them at all, and maybe now are curious to watch them now that they can get them free, get them at the same time that they sign up because, my kids need to watch the Disney animated movies. Maybe now that's part of the idea is Disney wants people to come into this universe, maybe because there's one thing they were super passionate about, but as they're there, because you have all these other options to watch things that aren't in the same sort of genre or vertical, you can get addicted to the rest.
And if you are that kind of fan, you can, we don't know yet about the Disney Plus shows, but there are a lot of Netflix shows and that end up on DVD and Blu-ray later. Stranger Things is on 4K Blu-ray.
People still like to put stuff on their shelves, but then there's also the convenience factor. It seems odd to even think about, but yeah, when something that originates on the stream ends up on a DVD, that's a pretty niche audience that is going to try to walk away from it. But it's not a niche audience for people wanting to continually, gradually upgrade the quality of their library. Like, I own Star Wars on standard DVDs, not HD, not Blu-ray.
Right.
So when it comes time to watch them, being able to fire them in at 4K, as much as I'm kind of indifferent to that, as pretty well documented, I'm not going to argue against it either. I think that's just the big thing, is that convenience factor.
Yeah.
It's also a strategy, though, if you're money saving. Like, I don't personally subscribe to DC Universe right now, but Titans Season 1 I was able to rent from my library and watch it that way. And I presume Season 2 will end up there eventually as well. Although I kind of want to watch it, so I might subscribe for a month just as catch in. But beside the point, like, there's a lot of different ways to play media. You just kind of have to just take an idea, keep an idea of what is where, and maybe you do, like, say you love Frozen so much, you know you want to watch it forever, regardless of whether or not you have the service, then buy Frozen.
Yeah.
But if you're like I don't own Frozen, but like I did want to listen
Frozen.
to it today.
I have kids, of course I own Frozen.
But I put it on today because it came with Disney Plus. I was like, yeah, I do want to watch it.
Yeah, right. And yeah, something that we haven't really talked about at length is the fact, to Brian's point, competitively, Disney Plus is including a lot of great perks for this price, in the sense that you get 4K, you get Atmos, Dolby Atmos sound, you get Dolby Vision. It's all included for this. They don't have tiers. So I guess it's great in the sense, if you compare it to Netflix, they break out tiers so they can get more money out of a subscriber. If you want more simultaneous streams, so more people can watch on your account. If you want to have that really high quality sound and video for it, Disney, I think, is really savvy to give it's like you get all of that. If you have the best TV out there, you can watch it in the best quality and you don't have to pay any more for it. I think that's smart.
It's good that it's simplified and
it's simple.
Otherwise, it could get harebrained.
Exactly. Yeah.
All I can think of is, like, this is the perfect personification of the "It's Goofy Time" meme, and that's a pretty deep cut, weird web meme to dig out of the archives there. But that's all it is. Disney Plus kicks open the door. It's Goofy Time. No, Dad, no. All right, rapid fire. Let's just try to fire through a few of these.
Okay.
It should be pretty easy. Are the promotions with Disney Plus stackable?
So I think that means if you have
if you
multiple
buy
figures?
directly for 1 year and then you get the Verizon add-on.
So I don't believe they're stackable, but I do believe that you have until the end of June to initiate the Verizon Unlimited deal. I think it lasts until June 2020. So if you had a promotion for just 1 year, or if you wanted to, I don't know. I would have to do a lot more mental math to figure out how you could time that so you could eke out extra money. But I know you can wait. Like, if you want to, like, I don't know, borrow a password from somebody for 9 months or whatever that is, and then use your Verizon deal. But why not just get the Verizon deal? I don't know. But bottom line is, no, you can't really stack up promotions.
Okay, and this one's coming from Caleb again. I wonder if Disney will extend the free trial given all the problems they're having at launch.
That's a good question. They might. So Disney, like, table stakes are that you can get a 7-day free trial. I believe it's 1 week. It's a possibility, and I think that'd be a good faith thing to give to consumers. You know what? Let me check Down Detector right now.
I'll be honest that I kind of doubt it.
I would be surprised if they did.
Like, I was having trouble getting Apple TV Plus to work in my browser a few times when I was doing a week of trial of that, but I didn't expect Apple to throw in an extra day.
Yeah. And so I'm looking at Down Detector right now, and it looks like the number of complaints has come down recently there were some peaks about 3 hours ago, and then another peak 2 hours before that. They've come down a lot since then, so maybe they're getting a handle on things. It's possible, you know, they've been doing everything they can. They've been bending over backwards to do these sort of like consumer facing things. It's possible, but I also think that this seems like it might be a blip in terms of service disruption.
I would think so. I mean, when you say it like that, they've got all the money in the world. This is just, it's an inevitability that you kick the door open and like that, and something's going to hiccup. I mean, if they're solving it in under a day, I call that a win. I mean, look at every time Amazon Prime Day rolls around, every time a new Stranger Things season drops, everything just goes down hard. So, I mean, applauding Disney's efforts. We'll see. I'm looking forward to actually checking the app out tonight when I'm off work and really getting my own 2 cents on it, because all I've been able to do is essentially download it. Okay, before we go, what features are we missing? What extra perks do we think we want to see? Mike, you and I were talking a little bit. You mentioned podcasts earlier. But what about also Disney soundtracks you could download, like on a Spotify type thing?
That'll be kind of a funny play against Spotify, actually.
Yeah. No soundtracks or sounds necessarily with Disney Plus. But Disney has done promotions with Spotify in the past. They've done like playlists and stuff. So maybe there might be some cross promotional things that they get into. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think like better support for audio only, because there's maybe circumstances in which this might be used to, like, kids are screaming, I want entertainment. So you throw on Frozen in the car, but no one's actually watching Frozen on the phone. They're just listening to it the whole time.
Yeah.
So maybe just better support for that, where the video doesn't have to be on. If that might be a licensing thing too. I don't know.
No, it probably wouldn't be a licensing thing. I wonder if it's like just a triage thing, like where on the level of stuff they need to, boxes they need to check off to get done, where that falls. I imagine that would be kind of low, but I don't know. We'll see. If people are demanding it, then they'll probably help.
One more for our buddy Esquilo Yogador. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm trying here. He wants to know, when is Disney Plus coming to Portugal?
That's a really great question. So I was at a press briefing on Friday. Kevin Mayer, who is the Disney executive right under Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, he's the one that is basically the head honcho of Disney Plus. And he was asked that specific question. And he stuck to script. So earlier, the day before, Disney had said, we're rolling out March 31st in Western Europe markets, UK, Spain, France. It listed a few, but it didn't mention Portugal. When he was asked about Portugal, he said, I can't say anything, but he did say, I think you'll be pleased by how quickly it rolls out. My understanding and my perception is that the idea is that you get it out in all of Western Europe really quickly. I just don't think that they're committing to specific markets right now. But I would take him at his word that they're going to get it quickly to other Western European markets right after that European launch.
The international thing is just it's confusing. There's so many issues that go into it. Like Disney had created a new deal with even Amazon in a territory.
Oh, really?
It's
so confusing.
It's going to be like a while until this is a fully rolled out service across all countries.
Yeah.
But that's just what it is when it comes to Netflix. When it comes to licensing.
Yeah.
Well, they're nothing if not aggressive, so we got to give them that much. But this was a great show. This is a lot of great conversation. We've gone super duper long, but we do have to get going. But keep sounding off. Let us know what your experiences are with the app. Fire at us at Twitter. Leave more comments down here in the chat below. If you finally get a breakthrough, or if you have any ideas or missing features that we're still, thinking about, put on the wish list. Go ahead and sound off there. The conversation will keep going, I'm sure. One last thing before we call it a day. We put a poll up yesterday on the old internet. We wanted to ask people in the follow-up from the episode where we talked about Instagram dropping likes, if visible likes would ruin your Instagram experience or takeaway. 18% said yes, 50% said no, 31% said, what's Instagram? I'm assuming that last batch was probably Alfred. So yeah, that's our takeaway. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow. And until then, Joan, you can send us on out.
Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you can join us here live weekday mornings. And if you have the chance, peek at the links below. You'll learn more about today's topics. Feel free to subscribe to our audio podcast too. For The Daily Charge, I'm Joni Salzman.
And I'm Mike Sorrentino.
Thanks for joining us.
Can't get enough? Check out The Daily Supercharge, our extended post show with special features, audience Q&A, and in-depth reviews. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.